There's a lie we all grew up with. Work hard, get the things, and then life gets easy. Get the money, get the status, get the house, the car, the title, and once you have all of it, then you can finally relax. Then you can finally be okay. But here's what nobody tells you. The people who actually got all of it, a lot of them are miserable. Not in some abstract sense. Genuinely, quietly tortured. You've seen it. The person who inherited a fortune and can't find a reason to get out of bed. The executive who has everything on paper and nothing inside. The kid who never had to fight for anything and doesn't know who he is. Why does having everything sometimes feel like having nothing? I think about this a lot. And I've come to believe something that sounds harsh at first. But the more you sit with it, the more it feels like relief. You cannot have an easy life and a great character. Not at the same time. Not because life is designed to punish you, but because character is not something you receive. It's something you build. And you can only build it by going through things that are genuinely hard. There is no shortcut. There is no hack. No inheritance that can give you who you need to become. Now, this is where most people get it wrong. We've been told it's about the destination. Get somewhere, some place of arrival where the struggle finally ends and the good life begins. And there's another version of that. One the self-help world loves to sell. It's not exactly wrong. It's just incomplete. Forget the destination. Just love the journey. Be present. Enjoy the process. That's pointing us something real. But it still stops short. Because the real thing, the thing that actually changes a person, isn't the destination. And it's not the experience of traveling either. It's who you become on the journey. That's the whole game. Not where you end up. Not the feeling of moving. But the person shaped in the process of doing hard things, failing, learning, trying again, and refusing to quit. Pressure and heat makes diamonds. Every person you've ever admired, every leader, every artist, every person who built something real, look at the life behind them. There was fire somewhere, a moment, or a season, or sometimes an entire chapter they did not choose and couldn't avoid. And they had to go through it, not around it, through it. And that's what shaped them into diamonds. Marcus Aurelius understood this. One of the most powerful men who ever lived, emperor of Rome, commander of armies, wrote something in his private journal that has survived 2,000 years because it's just true. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. In simple tense, the obstacle is the road, not a detour around the road, not a temporary inconvenience before the road. The obstacle itself is the road. That's not motivational language. That's a man who ruled an empire writing honestly to himself about what he'd learned. The hard thing in front of you is not separate from your life. It is your life. The very thing trying to shape you into someone worth knowing. And that's the hero's journey. Not just as a story, but as a human truth. The hero doesn't start as a hero. They start ordinary, comfortable even. And then something breaks. Something is taken. The world shifts. And they are thrust into a fire they didn't ask for. But the fire is exactly what was needed. Because on the other side of it, if they go through it honestly, if they don't collapse or run, they come back transformed. Not just with treasure, as someone different, someone forged. That pattern shows up in every culture, every mythology, every great piece of literature in human history. because it's not fiction. It's a description of what actually happens to actual people, and it might be happening to you right now. After college, while I was waiting for something real to happen with my degree, I was bouncing between minimal jobs just trying to survive. A friend invited me to come work at a school for kids with autism. And honestly, my only motivation was money. Clock in, do the work, clock out, pay my student loans, sort myself out. That was the plan. But something happened that I didn't expect. The more time I spent with those kids, curious, challenging, beautiful kids, the more they changed me. Working with them taught me patience in a way no classroom ever did. Something real about love, human dignity, presence, about respecting another person's world even when you don't fully understand it. It even cracked open something in me spiritually, pushed me past the boundaries of what I'd been told to believe and into something wider, something more honest. I went in there to make money. I came out a different person, and I didn't see it coming. That's the thing about the fire. You rarely do. There's a principle buried in here that explains a lot about modern suffering. We talk about self-esteem like it comes from achievement. Get the promotion, hit the body you always wanted, make a certain amount of money. Then you'll finally feel good about yourself. But that's not where it lives. Real self-esteem, the kind that doesn't collapse when life gets hard, comes from being the kind of person who shows up repeatedly, whether you feel like it or not. Think about the gym. You don't get confidence from the six-packs. You get it from being the person who goes day after day because they say they would. That person knows something no achievement can give you. They know they can be trusted by themselves, and that identity is real. And here's the thing about lifting that most people miss. The weight doesn't get lighter. Your back gets stronger. Life doesn't get easier. You get more capable, more clear, more grounded. The challenges don't go away, but you stop seeing them as obstacles and start seeing them as the actual material your life is made of. Now here's something the self-help world gets dangerously wrong. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. That's a half-truth at best. Because raw suffering, without awareness, without meaning, without any conscious response, doesn't build character. It just leaves marks. It can break people, leave someone bitter rather than better, hardened in the wrong direction. What actually builds character isn't the struggle itself. It's the struggle met consciously. Adversity plus meaning plus an honest attempt to respond well. That's what transforms a person. This is the difference between someone who goes through fire and comes out forged, and someone who goes through the same fire and comes out burnt. Research into post-traumatic growth, a real and documented phenomenon, consistently shows the same thing. What determines whether hardship builds you is whether you find meaning in it, whether you stay awake to what is teaching you. The struggle is the curriculum, but you still have to show up to class. Now, let me bring this somewhere practical, because I know some of you are building something, a business, a career, a creative life, a version of yourself you haven't fully arrived at yet. Maybe you're tired. Maybe it's taking longer than you thought. Maybe you're doing the work and wondering if it's worth it. Real creation doesn't come from visualization alone. It doesn't come from positive thinking alone or manifesting alone. Visualization is a starting point, not a destination. Image in your mind means nothing without inner alignment and real action behind it. Knowing why you're doing it and showing up anyway, even when the results aren't there yet. The discipline you're building right now is becoming part of who you are. The courage you're practicing, that is not just a strategy. It's shaping your character. After COVID, I flew to Accra, Ghana, West Africa to start a delivery business. The plan was simple: hit my KPIs, make money, cut costs, build something that will free me from my 9 to 5. Clean, straightforward, transactional. Reality had other plans. Everything assumed would work. The systems, the payment structures, the way business gets done, none of it translated. In the West, you can swipe a card. In Accra, it's mobile money. And sometimes it's not even that. Sometimes you deliver first and hope they pay. Sometimes they don't. You get burnt. You learn fast. I had to throw out the playbook I came with and build a new one on the ground, in real time, with real money on the line. What I walked away with wasn't just a business. It was the things I didn't know I was missing. Punctuality. Real punctuality. Not the convenient kind. Integrity. Because your reputation is your currency when you're the new guy nobody knows yet. Grit. How to handle betrayal without it breaking you. How to trust carefully and rebuild when that trust gets violated. How to hire, how to fire, how to keep going when both feel awful. I traveled from the US to Ghana to make money, and I did build something real. But the person who came back was worth more than any profit or loss I made. That's the thing nobody tells you about taking a leap. You think you're jumping towards the goal, but the jump itself is what builds you. Life is self-assignment. No one is come to hand you courage. No one is come to hand you discipline or honesty, clarity or peace. These are not things that happens to you. They are things you choose over and over, usually in moments where it will have been easier to choose something else. And that's not a burden. Once you really see it, that's actually freedom. Because it means you're not stuck. It means who you are right now is not the final word. Every hard conversation, every day you show up when you didn't feel like it, it's all building something real. So here's the question I want to leave you with. Not as a motivational prompt, as an honest question. What are you doing here? What is your actual role? What is that thing you're trying to become? What does this version of your life, with its specific struggles, its specific fires, its specific gifts, what is it asking you to grow into? Because the answer to that question, not the destination, not the achievement, but who you are becoming on the way there, that's where the real life is. Easy lives don't produce great people. That's just true. And I don't think that's depressing. I think it's one of the most honest and useful things you can understand. Because once you stop waiting for things to get easy, you stop wasting the difficulty. You start using it. The weight isn't going to get lighter, but you will get stronger. And one day, maybe sooner than you think, you'll look back at everything that was hard and realize it wasn't in that way. It was the way.